Hello, I wanted to practice making videos that I can possibly post on YouTube. Just trying to figure out how good the camera is, how good my voice is, how good the sound quality is. The thing I wanted to address, since I want to make videos basically about politics in Michigan, that one of the claims that conservatives and Republicans make or have made over the years is the Democrats engage in systemic, prolific, cycle after cycle voting fraud, voter fraud. So there's people have made videos about going to, Democratic operatives at polling places or at candidates' offices who are running for office, and the campaign worker has a way, very simply explained, very plainly explained, about how to engage in voter fraud. But today, I learned from National Review that there is a case now, a city worker in, let me see if I can get the camera to shrink down. There we go. And then expand the document. Whoops. That way I can read it and make eye contact with the camera. I guess that's how some YouTubers do it. Sharikia, don't know if I'm getting that right, Hawkins was charged Monday with 6 felony counts for allegedly altering absentee ballots during the November 2018 election in her capacity as city clerk for the Detroit suburb of Southfield, Michigan. Hawkins, a 38-year-old registered Democrat, stands accused of altering 193 absentee ballots. She was arraigned Monday in Southfield on charges including falsifying returns or records, forgery of a public record, misconduct in office, and multiple counts of using a computer to commit a crime. She was released on $15,000 bond. The alleged misconduct was discovered after the Oakland County Clerk's Office noticed that 193 voter files had been changed to reflect that the voters failed to include a valid signature or return date when all of the implicated voters had in fact included both items. So she was committing fraud to disqualify 193 votes. Any guess as to the political party or the person being voted for on those ballots? Probably a Republican. And this is funny. The county clerk's office later discovered the original voter files in the trash at the election division office. Apparently, she's not a very crafty Democrat. The Michigan State Police then launched an investigation that resulted in Hawkins' arrest. In a statement announcing the charges, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel and Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, both of whom are Democrats, stressed that Hawkins' behavior was anomalous and did not affect any election outcomes. So why would 2 elected officials bother to preemptively, before any trial has occurred, any information is available, any people deposed, documents put into evidence, can they come out and unequivocally proclaim to us, the voters, that this is an anomaly and that this did not affect any election outcomes? Well, if it didn't affect any election outcomes, why was she committing fraud? It sort of begs the question of, well, maybe perhaps she wasn't the only one committing fraud. Maybe this is, maybe in the aggregate, enough Democratic operatives at whatever level of government, at the county, city, state level, in the aggregate, absolutely affect election outcomes. Nessel said, voting is fundamental to the very essence of our democracy. Apparently so is fraud for the Democrats. It is incumbent upon state governments to safeguard the electoral process and ensure that every voter's rights to cast a ballot is protected. It's right here, right? You get that? You feel that? Hawkins, who makes $101,500 per year, has been placed on paid administrative leave pending the outcome of her trial. She's going to continue to get paid even though she's been indicted on 6 felonies and she's been released on bond. Wow. Makes you wonder about having those government jobs for yourself, doesn't it? The Michigan Democratic Party honored Hawkins this year with the prestigious Dingle Levin Award. 2 very corrupt Democrats, there we go, at its annual Legacy Dinner in Detroit, and she was included in the Michigan Chronicle's 40 Under 40 list in 2017. How much you want to bet, regardless of the outcome of this, whether she serves prison or she does any time in prison or not, her standing in the Democratic Party will not be diminished in the slightest. Hawkins, who has overseen a total of 16 elections in Oakland County, began working in government in 2010 as deputy city clerk for the city of Pontiac. Let's just for a second do a little bit of research on the city of Pontiac, because I have a feeling. Here's my theory. Predominantly black. So here's the theory. Predominantly black, predominantly Democrat, very, very corrupt. She cut her teeth, learned her chops back in 2010 when she started her job. She's an operative. And let's see the demographics of Pontiac. Oh no. Ha! In Pontiac, black alone, 48%, or the majority in Pontiac, is black. Theory proven. She was serving as the Pontiac City Clerk when Democrat, and I'm so glad that National Review actually included this because it completely casts doubt on every election she's ever touched. And in fact, every one of the results of those elections should be nullified and those offices be put up for election again. Hawkins, who has overseen a total of 16 elections in Oakland County, began working in government in 2010 as deputy city clerk for the city of Pontiac, according to her LinkedIn profile. She was serving as the Pontiac city clerk when Democrat Gary Peters won a very tight congressional race against Republican Rocky Roszkowski in the state's 9th congressional district in November 2010, the same election cycle that Republicans overwhelmingly reclaimed the House majority. Peters, who has since been elected to the Senate, bested Roszkowski by just 6,405 votes out of a total of 245,055 cast. Let's see what that margin is, shall we? Here we go. What does that math look like? Oh my word. So that 6,405 vote margin represents 2.6% of all votes cast. I don't know. Is that manageable from a fraud level? Can we do that? Is there enough operatives in place? Can we make that happen? Maybe. Michigan Rising Action, a local branch of the conservative advocacy group American Rising, is now calling for a sweeping investigation into all of the elections that Hawkins has overseen in her nearly 10-year career. Well, there we go. We got conservatives and Republicans playing by the rules, wanting to get it done the right way. Can never fault them for that. But ultimately, because the state is dominated by Democratic operatives, especially with Gretchen Whitmer as our governor, this ain't going anywhere, guarantee you. The charges against Ms. Hawkins are extremely troubling and must be fully investigated. The integrity of our elections is essential to the protection of our constitutional rights and individual liberty. Michigan Rising Action is calling for a full audit of every election that Ms. Hawkins oversaw in her capacity as an elections official. Tori Sachs, the group's executive director, told National Review. They want an independent auditor to examine all of the votes or the elections that she touched or was involved with. And again, Secretary of State Benson described Hawkins' misconduct as rare in comments to reporters on Monday. You can see Democrats already laying down the propaganda blanket. They're going to repeat the lie as often as they have to. They will repeat the lie even in the face of evidence to the contrary. They will repeat the lie until everybody else has run out of air, right? While Hawkins' brazenly fraudulent tactics may constitute a rarity, Detroit and its surrounding suburbs have experienced multiple instances of electoral incompetence and possible fraud in recent years. Recent years? How about since the beginning of time? Detroit City Clerk Janice Winfrey's office was audited by the state in 2017 after elections supervisors discovered discrepancies between ballot boxes and voting totals in nearly 6% of the city's precincts. 1 year earlier, during the 2016 presidential election cycle, voting machines in more than 1/3 of Detroit's precincts registered more votes than the number of registered voters in those precincts. Democrats don't care if they get caught. All right, we'll see how this goes. Thanks.